I still remember the exact moment my parents chose my sister over me. It was Thanksgiving dinner, and my father stood at the head of our mahogany table with a champagne flute raised high. "Everyone, Claire and I have an announcement," he declared. "We've decided to invest in Jessica's future. $2 million for her sustainable fashion startup." The room erupted in applause. My sister, perfect poised Jessica, dabbed at theatrical tears while her fiancé kissed her cheek. Meanwhile, I sat frozen, trying to process what I'd just heard. $2 million. I'd asked them for $15,000 just 6 months earlier to complete my coding certification. My father had looked at me over his reading glasses and said, "Rachel, at some point you need to accept reality." But apparently Jessica's dream deserved 2 million reasons to succeed. "Rachel, aren't you going to congratulate your sister?" My mother's voice cut through my thoughts. I forced a smile. "Congratulations, Jess. That's incredible." "Thanks, Ray. Mom and Dad believe in investing in proven success. You understand. Proven success." Jessica had worked at a marketing firm for 3 years before quitting to find herself in Bali. I'd been grinding as a junior developer for 5 years, teaching myself advanced programming at night, working 60-hour weeks. But she had the Ivy League degree, the influential friends, the vision. "Actually," my father continued, "this seems like a good time to address something. Rachel, your mother and I are concerned about your trajectory." The table went quiet. 11 pairs of eyes turned toward me. "You're 31 years old, still in an entry-level position, still renting that studio apartment." He said it like reading a coroner's report. "We think it's time you accepted that not everyone is meant for extraordinary things." The words hung in the air like poison gas. What I didn't say was that I'd just been headhunted by a tech startup. That I had a second interview scheduled for Monday that would triple my salary. I excused myself before dessert. As I gathered my coat, I heard my mother. "We've tried with Rachel. But you can't help someone who won't help themselves." That night, I made a decision. I was done seeking their approval. The tech startup called Monday with an offer that made my hands shake. Senior developer. Stock options. 6-figure salary. I accepted immediately. I didn't tell my family. What was the point? 3 months later, my life had transformed. Gorgeous loft apartment. Exciting projects. I was even dating Daniel, a software architect with kind eyes. I was genuinely happy. And my family had no idea, because they never called. Then, 6 months after that Thanksgiving, my phone rang at 11 p.m. "Ms. Morgan, my name is Patricia Chun. I'm an attorney representing your father. There's been a development in his estate planning that requires your immediate attention." My blood went cold. "Is my father okay?" "Your father is fine. However, you need to retain legal counsel within 48 hours. Your father's lawyer will be contacting your attorney with information regarding significant changes to his will and certain financial arrangements." "I don't understand. Ms. Morgan, are you aware of the $2 million your parents invested in your sister's business?" "Of course." Long pause. "That money wasn't your parents' money to give." The room tilted. "What do you mean?" "That money had a very specific legal designation. Your father violated it when he transferred it to your sister. According to documentation I've uncovered, you're the rightful owner of those funds. All of them." I couldn't breathe. "There's more. But I cannot discuss it without proper legal protections in place. What your parents did may constitute fraud. And when this comes to light..." She didn't finish. "My parents hadn't just chosen my sister over me. They'd stolen from me to do it. Ms. Chun, I need to know what's happening. Retain counsel, Ms. Morgan. Have them call me. And Rachel? Don't tell your family about this call." "Not yet." She hung up. I sat in darkness, staring at my phone. Money that wasn't theirs to give. Legal designation. Fraud. My phone buzzed. "This is Patricia Chun. I'm sending you 3 attorneys who specialize in estate fraud. What's coming will get ugly." 3 names appeared. I called the 3rd attorney's emergency line. The paralegal, upon hearing Patricia's name, immediately patched me through. "Ms. Morgan," Patricia briefed me. "Can you come to my office tomorrow morning? 8 a.m. "Yes, but please, what is this about?" "Not over the phone." "But Ms. Morgan, when Patricia Chun calls someone at 11 p.m. telling them to lawyer up, it's because she's found something that's going to detonate. Your family has been lying to you for a very long time." At 8 a.m., I stood outside James Park's office building, nursing my 3rd coffee. His assistant ushered me into a corner office. James was younger than expected, maybe early 40s, with sharp eyes. "Before we begin, you're hiring me to represent you in matters relating to your father's estate and the $2 million given to your sister. Agreed. Agreed. He opened a folder and pulled out a yellowed document. Do you know anything about your paternal grandmother, Eleanor Morgan? She died before I was born. My father doesn't talk about her. This is your grandmother's will filed 6 months before your birth. She established a trust fund. $2 million to be held in escrow until her first granddaughter turned 30. I stared. I turned 30 last year. Exactly. That money was meant for you. Not for your parents to control. For you. But they gave it to Jessica. Your father was the executor. He knew about this trust since before you were born. James pulled out another document. On your 30th birthday, the trust was scheduled to transfer to you automatically. But 3 weeks before that date, your father filed paperwork claiming you were mentally incompetent. The words hit like a physical blow. He what? He submitted a petition claiming you suffered from severe depression and financial irresponsibility. He included falsified medical records from therapists you'd never seen. I couldn't breathe. The court granted him conservatorship. He was supposed to manage the money in your best interest. Instead, he transferred all of it to Jessica's business account. How did you find this? Patricia took over his legal affairs 4 months ago. When reviewing his files, she found the paperwork. She's bound not to participate in ongoing fraud. So she contacted me and suggested I look into your grandmother's estate. I was crying now. 31 years of being dismissed suddenly made terrible sense. What do I do? We filed to dissolve the conservatorship based on fraudulent documentation. We demand return of all funds plus damages. James met my eyes. We destroy the narrative that you're the failure. Jessica doesn't know, does she? Unknown. But she's used it. If we sue for recovery, she'll have to return it. It'll bankrupt her company. Yes. I thought about my grandmother who'd tried to protect me. About my father's cold assessment while spending my inheritance. About my mother calling me ordinary. Do it, I said. James smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. Now there's one more thing. My stomach clenched. There's more. He pulled out a birth certificate. Mine. But something was wrong. According to this and sealed adoption records Patricia discovered, David and Claire Morgan aren't your biological parents. The world stopped. You were adopted at 3 days old. Your grandmother knew this. That's why she created the trust, to ensure you'd be provided for, regardless of how your adoptive parents treated you. I couldn't speak. Who are my real parents? That's sealed. But there might be a way to unseal those records. Before I could answer, James's phone buzzed. Patricia says your father just filed an emergency motion claiming you're harassing the family and demanding a restraining order. What? I haven't contacted them. They know someone told you. They're trying to control the narrative. What's our next move? We file within the hour. We go nuclear. The fraud, forged documents, stolen inheritance, all of it. Public record. My family will be destroyed. Yes. Can you live with that? I thought about 30 years of being told I wasn't enough. Destroy them, I said. James's fingers flew across his keyboard. In about 6 hours, your family is going to find out that the daughter they dismissed is about to take everything they have. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing your locations. Now back to the story. The motion was filed at 10:47 a.m. By noon, my phone was exploding. Jessica called 11 times before leaving a voicemail. Rachel, what the hell is going on? Dad's lawyer called saying you're suing us? This is insane. I deleted it without responding. My mother called next. Rachel Elizabeth Morgan, whatever lies someone has filled your head with, this is your family. Call off this ridiculous legal action immediately. My father didn't call. Typical. James had warned me this would happen. Don't engage. Not until the hearing. The hearing was Friday, 3 days away. I was in James's office when his paralegal knocked urgently. You need to see this. Jessica, posting to her 200,000 Instagram followers, tear-stained and perfect. My sister is going through something. She's always struggled with mental health. Now she's suing us, claiming my parents' investment was hers. It's heartbreaking to watch someone you love lose touch with reality. Please send prayers for Rachel. The comments flooded in. Hundreds calling me greedy, crazy, jealous. She's building a public narrative, James said. Making you look unstable. Can we stop her? We can respond. Not emotionally, factually. We leaked the documents. Within 2 hours, a legal blogger had posted a detailed breakdown, complete with redacted documents. The headline. Influencer's $2 million investment, actually sister's stolen inheritance? The tide began to turn. That evening, as I left James's office, a black Mercedes pulled up. My father. Get in the car, Rachel. Don't, James called from the doorway, phone in hand. Ms. Morgan, no family contact without legal representation. David, anything you say is being recorded. My father's jaw tightened. This is between me and my daughter. This is between a man who committed fraud and the woman he victimized. There's nothing to discuss outside court. For the first time, I saw my father look uncertain. Rachel, whatever you think you know. She knows everything, James interrupted. The forged records. The fraudulent conservatorship. The trust from Eleanor. All of it. My father went pale. You don't understand the full picture. Then explain it in court. Under oath. The Mercedes drove away. I stood shaking. That was a test, James said. He wanted to see if he could still control you. You passed. At 2 a.m., I received an email from a friend. Subject. About your birth mother. I almost deleted it, but something made me open it. Your birth mother's name was Victoria Ashford. She was 17, and David Morgan's family paid her $50,000 to sign away her rights. She's been looking for you for 31 years, blocked by the Morgans' lawyers. Thought you should know. You have a family who wants you. Attached was a photograph. A woman with my eyes, my nose, standing in front of Ashford's Books, Portland, Oregon. She was real. She'd been looking for me. They'd taken my inheritance. My identity. And this, a mother who'd wanted me. At 6 a.m., I called James. I need to add intentional infliction of emotional distress to our lawsuit. And I want to depose my father about every payment he's made to keep my birth mother away. You found her. Someone found her for me. James, they've been paying her off for 30 years. Forward me everything. We're talking about systematic erasure of your identity. Can we prove it? If the payments exist, we'll find them. Friday arrived. I dressed in a navy suit, professional, composed. The courthouse was marble and echoing. As I walked toward the courtroom, I saw them. My entire family. My father with his expensive attorney. My mother already crying. Jessica in humble clothes, her fiancé's arm around her. They looked like the perfect family being attacked. Don't react, James murmured. We have documents. Documents don't lie. Judge Martinez, steel-gray hair and sharp eyes, entered. Mr. Park, present your case. James presented document after document. The original trust. The forged medical records. The transfer to Jessica. And then, financial records showing regular payments to V. Ashford for non-disclosure agreement compliance dating back 31 years. Your Honor, this isn't just stolen money. This is a coordinated effort to isolate Ms. Morgan from her biological family, convince her she was incompetent, and strip her of resources. The Morgans stole her identity, her family, her self-worth. My father's attorney tried to object, but Judge Martinez was having none of it. Counselor, these medical records are signed by Dr. Harrison Chun, who has been dead for 6 years. The dates postdate his death by 18 months. Her voice was icy. Did you verify these? My father's attorney went pale. Mr. Morgan, stand up. Did you forge these medical records? Silence stretched. Finally, yes. The courtroom erupted. Order. Mr. Morgan, you are held in contempt. The conservatorship is dissolved immediately. All funds plus interest are to be returned within 30 days. I'm referring this to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. My mother gasped. Jessica cried, real tears this time. I am also ordering the unsealing of Ms. Morgan's adoption records and any related non-disclosure agreements. She looked at my father. Sir, in 30 years on the bench, I have rarely seen such calculated, cruel manipulation. You should be ashamed. As the judge left, chaos erupted. Reporters rushed in, and Jessica stared at me across the courtroom with an expression I'd never seen, fear. Because her business, her brand, her life was built on money that was never hers. James touched my elbow. We need to leave. But my father's voice stopped me. Rachel, please. We can fix this as a family. You destroyed us 31 years ago when you decided I was worth less than Jessica. When you forged documents. When you paid my real mother to stay away. You destroyed this family. I'm just making sure everyone knows it. Outside, camera flashes exploded. James navigated us through to his car. He handed me a tablet showing a news article. Tech heiress exposes family fraud. Influencer sister's business built on stolen money. You're not the failure anymore, James said. You're the survivor. And they're the cautionary tale. My phone buzzed. Daniel. Just saw the news. Proud of you for fighting back. Another text from Victoria Ashford. I saw the court news. I've dreamed of this day for 31 years. If you want to meet, I'm here. I've always been here. Love, your mom. Your mom. I booked a red-eye to Portland that night. On the plane, I read the unsealed documents. The adoption papers. The NDA Victoria had signed. The payments, $50,000 initially, then $2,000 monthly for 31 years. There were letters she'd written over the years, blocked by the Morgans. Hundreds of them. Dear Rachel, you're 2 years old today. Dear Rachel, you're starting school. Dear Rachel, you're 16. I hope you know I think about you every single day. By the time I landed in Portland, I'd cried through an entire packet of tissues. The Uber took me to Ashford's Books at 6 a.m. Warm light spilled from its windows. I stood outside for 10 minutes, working up courage. The door chimed. The shop was beautiful, floor-to-ceiling shelves, cozy reading nooks. And there, behind the counter, was Victoria Ashford. My mother. She dropped her clipboard. Her hand went to her mouth. Then she was moving, and I was moving, and we met in the middle in an embrace that felt like coming home. Rachel, she sobbed. My baby. My girl. We stood crying for what felt like hours. When we pulled apart, she held my face in her hands. You look just like my mother. She would have loved you. Tell me, I said. Tell me everything. She smiled through tears. We have time now. All the time in the world. As Victoria led me upstairs to her apartment, I texted James. Found her. Found me. His response. Enjoy it. And Rachel? Jessica's business filed for bankruptcy this morning. Thought you'd want to know. I should have felt guilty. But all I felt was free. If you're still watching right now, you're exactly the kind of viewer I love. Subscribe so I can keep giving you stories that touch your heart. Hit that bell so you never miss what happens next. I spent the weekend learning who I was supposed to be. Victoria had kept everything. Baby photos from the hospital. A lock of my hair. The hospital bracelet. 31 years of birthday cards, carefully dated and stored. I always hoped, she said. I told myself you'd find me someday. She showed me photos of her family, my family. Uncle Marcus, with my crooked smile. Grandmother Rosie, who'd passed 5 years earlier. Cousins I'd never met. Why didn't you fight harder? I asked, immediately regretting it when her face crumbled. I was 17, Rachel. Pregnant, terrified, kicked out by my parents. The Morgans' lawyer came with papers and a check. He made me feel like loving you meant letting you go. The payments. The first $50,000 let me finish high school, eventually open this store. The monthly payments. I told myself it was the least they owed us. Ancient pain filled her eyes. I tried to find you anyway. Hired 3 lawyers. They all hit the same wall. The Morgans had connections, money, power. We talked until dawn. She told me about my biological father, Tom, her high school sweetheart who died in a car accident when she was 6 months pregnant. She told me about the Ashford family history I'd been denied. I told her about my life with the Morgans. She cried when I described Thanksgiving, raged at the forged records, looked murderous at the years of being called a failure. You were never a failure. You were just with the wrong family. Monday morning came too quickly. I had to fly back for meetings with James. Or, Victoria said carefully, you could relocate. Portland has a booming tech scene. The second floor of the bookstore could be an apartment. You have options now. Leave everything? But also, why not? I'll think about it, I said. James met me with news. Jessica's attorney wants to negotiate a settlement. She wants to pay you back in installments over 10 years. What do you think? She had no problem spending your money immediately. He pulled out a document. There's a complication. Your sister is pregnant. 3 months. Her attorney is pushing the you'd be destroying a pregnant woman's livelihood angle. She's pregnant. The optics are bad. Young mother-to-be being bankrupted by her rich tech sister. My phone buzzed. Jessica. Against my better judgment, I answered. Rachel, please just listen. You're pregnant. Yes. 12 weeks. If you force me to pay it all back now, I'll lose everything. The baby's father left when the news broke. I'm alone, pregnant, and going to lose everything because Mom and Dad lied to both of us. They lied to you too? Did you think I knew? That I knew it was your money? Jessica sobbed. They told me it was their investment. I thought they finally chose me. Do you know what it's like being the favorite, but never feeling like it's real? I built my entire brand on their validation, and now I find out it was stolen money. Part of me wanted to believe her. If you didn't know, why did you call me mentally unstable on Instagram? Because Dad told me to. He said you were having a breakdown, that we needed to control the narrative. I believed him. I always believe him. James was signaling me to hang up. Did you know about the adoption? Sharp intake of breath. What adoption? I told her. The adoption, Victoria, the payments, 31 years of lies. Oh my God, she whispered. I didn't know. I swear. Our grandmother left that money specifically for me. Because she knew what they were. They used me to hurt you. They made me the weapon. Yeah. What do I do? Rachel, I can't pay back $2 million in 30 days. I'll be bankrupt and still owe you over $1 million. James was shaking his head violently. I need to think. Don't call me again. Negotiate through James. I hung up. You can't go soft, James said. I know. But she didn't know about the adoption. They used her too. I left needing air. Walking downtown, my phone buzzed. Victoria. Whatever you decide, make sure it's what you want. You owe them nothing. I was outside a coffee shop when someone tapped my shoulder. Claire Morgan. Looking terrible, red eyes, unstyled hair, jeans instead of designer perfection. Rachel, please. 5 minutes. I should have walked away. Fine. 5 minutes. We sat at an outdoor table. I want you to know I never wanted this. The lawyers, the court, the publicity. Your father made decisions without consulting me. You expect me to believe you didn't know? I knew about the conservatorship. David told me it was necessary. I believed him. Something like regret. I always believed him when it came to you. That was my failure. Why? Why was Jessica always good enough, and I was always the problem? Tears filled her eyes. Because you weren't mine. The words hung between us. I wanted a baby desperately. Jessica came and she was perfect and she was mine. When we couldn't conceive again, David pushed for adoption. I didn't want to. But he insisted. So you resented me for 31 years. I tried not to. But every time I looked at you, I saw the reminder that my body failed. You had Victoria's features. It was impossible to forget you weren't really mine. So you let Dad steal from me. I didn't know about the payments. She was crying openly. I didn't know about the forged records. I thought Jessica's investment was our savings. I wanted to believe her. Did you love me at all? Claire reached across the table, then thought better of it. I tried. But I'm not sure I knew how. That's not your fault. That's mine. Sorry doesn't give me back 31 years. I know. But Rachel. Jessica is pregnant and didn't know. If you destroy her now, you're letting him win. So I should forgive her? No. Make her pay every penny. But give her time. Let her do installments. Claire's voice broke. I'm asking anyway. Not for me. For your sister. For the family that could exist if we stop letting David's poison destroy us. She stood. I've filed for divorce. I'm not standing by him anymore. And if you give Jessica a chance, I'll make sure every payment comes from my accounts. I'll sell the house if I have to. You'll get your money back. She walked away. My phone rang. James. Your father was just arrested. Criminal charges, fraud, perjury, forgery. If convicted, 5 to 10 years. Oh my God. There's more. He's trying to cut a deal. He wants to testify that you knew about the trust the whole time, that you were complicit in defrauding the court. My father was trying to destroy me one final time. What do? We fight. We have testimony proving you're innocent. But Rachel, this is about to get uglier. I thought about Claire's tears, Jessica's pregnancy, Victoria's patient love. I want to make a deal with Jessica. Installments over 5 years. But ironclad terms. If she misses a payment, the full amount becomes due. And I want her to publicly state she didn't know. You're sure? I wasn't. But I was tired of being the villain. I'm sure. Let's end this. But as I would discover, the Morgans had one final secret. And when my father's lawyer played his final card, I realized Victoria had been keeping secrets too. The arraignment was scheduled for 2 p.m. James didn't want me there, but I needed to see my father face consequences. The courtroom was packed with media. My father sat at the defense table looking respectable, every inch the businessman being persecuted. His attorney, Robert Thornton, specialized in white-collar crime. Claire sat far from me. Jessica wasn't there, too emotional, James said. Judge Henderson entered. The People versus David Morgan. Mr. Thornton, how does your client plead? I expected not guilty. Instead, Your Honor, before we enter a plea, the defense would like to present new evidence that fundamentally changes these charges. Prosecutor Lisa Chin shot up. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. This evidence came to light 48 hours ago, Thornton interrupted. It directly pertains to whether a crime was committed. We're requesting an evidentiary hearing. Judge Henderson looked annoyed. Arraignment is not the time. Your Honor, the evidence proves Rachel Morgan was never the legal beneficiary of the trust fund. Which means there was no fraud, no theft, no crime. The courtroom erupted. James grabbed my arm. Not the legal beneficiary? Order. Mr. Thornton, you have 5 minutes to explain. Thornton pulled out an old document. This is an amendment to Eleanor Morgan's will, filed 2 weeks before Rachel's birth. It states the trust is for David Morgan's first legitimate biological granddaughter. My vision blurred. Legitimate. Biological. The will specifies that adopted non-biological children would not qualify. That's a lie. I shouted. James tried to pull me down. Ms. Morgan, sit down, Judge Henderson ordered. Mr. Thornton, approach. I watched, numb, as papers were examined. Your Honor, Lisa Chen said slowly. If authentic, this complicates the case significantly. It's authentic, Thornton said. Notarized, filed with the county clerk. We discovered it recently when settling Eleanor's estate. Convenient timing, James muttered. Judge Henderson studied the document. Even if valid, it doesn't explain the forged medical records. Your Honor, my client believed he was protecting family assets. Without the underlying theft charge, we're looking at procedural irregularities, not criminal fraud. Procedural irregularities? Lisa Chen's voice was sharp. He forged a dead doctor's signature to protect what he believed was his money. If she was never entitled. Thornton spread his hands. This couldn't be happening. I need a recess, Judge Henderson said. 30 minutes. Ms. Chun, verify that document. The courtroom emptied in chaos. James pulled me into a hallway, phone to his ear. Patricia? I need everything on Eleanor Morgan's estate. I slid down the wall, head between my knees. Not the beneficiary. Not wanted. James crouched beside me. This could be a forgery. And if it's real? His silence was answer enough. My phone buzzed. Victoria. Sweetheart, I'm seeing news alerts. What's happening? I couldn't answer. James took my phone and stepped away. He came back looking grim. Rachel, Victoria wants to talk to you. She says she needs to tell you something about Eleanor Morgan. What? She wouldn't say over the phone. She's adamant you hear it from her. Video call. Victoria's face appeared, and behind her sat an elderly man with sharp, familiar eyes. Rachel, Victoria said. This is Samuel Morgan. Your grandfather. Eleanor's husband. The world stopped. That's impossible. Dad said he died in the 80s. The old man leaned forward. Your father has been telling people I'm dead for 40 years. I assure you, I'm very much alive. And I have things to tell you about that will amendment. My mind couldn't process this. Samuel came to find me 3 days ago, Victoria said. After he saw the news. He's been living in Portland under a different name for decades. He's the one who sent you my information. I don't understand. Samuel's face was grim. That amendment is real. Eleanor did file it. But not because she wanted to exclude you. Because she wanted to protect the trust from your father. What? Eleanor was dying. David was already planning to steal it. He told Eleanor he was adopting a troubled girl who'd squander any inheritance. He convinced her to add the biological clause. Why would she listen? He lied about your mother. Told her Victoria was a drug addict, showed her falsified documents. Eleanor believed her son was protecting the family from a con artist. Samuel's voice broke. I tried to tell her the truth. But Eleanor was dying, in pain on medication. She signed because David convinced her. And then Eleanor died, and I confronted David. So he had me declared legally incompetent, committed to a psychiatric facility, and told everyone I'd died. Old rage blazed. I spent 3 years in that facility. By the time I escaped, David had forged my death certificate. I couldn't come back without destroying my life even more. I was crying. So you stayed away? For 40 years. I stayed close to Victoria. I helped her where I could, kept watch over you from a distance. I saw you grow up. And when I saw the news, I knew it was time. Time for what? Time to give you this. He held up a recording device. Eleanor recorded a message before she died. Coherent, off medications. This is her trying to undo what David convinced her to do. Victoria held up her phone. Samuel pressed play. A weak but determined voice. To my granddaughter Rachel. If you're hearing this, my son has tried to steal from you. I was dying when I signed that amendment. In pain and confused, and David took advantage. This is my true intent. I want you to have the trust. All of it. You are my granddaughter, biological or not. David is not the man I raised. Samuel, if you're alive, protect her. And Rachel. I'm sorry. I failed you. The recording ended. Silence. That recording, James said, fury controlled in his voice, invalidates the amendment. Proves Eleanor was coerced, proves her true intent. Rachel, this changes everything. I looked at my grandfather's face, a man who'd lost 40 years because he'd tried to protect me. James, I said, wiping tears. We need to get that recording to the judge. Now. Samuel is overnight shipping the original. But we have something better. He pulled up a document. Patricia found Eleanor's original will, without the amendment. It has a clause David forgot about. What clause? If Eleanor's will or amendments are found to have been obtained through fraud, all her assets transfer directly to you. Not to David. To you. We're not talking about $2 million anymore. We're talking about Eleanor's entire estate. Real estate, investments, trusts. He paused. $23 million. The number didn't sound real. If we prove David coerced Eleanor, everything she owned becomes yours. And Samuel's testimony, combined with Eleanor's recording, proves exactly that. I looked at my grandfather again. You knew about this. That's why you came forward. Samuel nodded. I've been waiting 40 years to make David pay. I may be old, but I'm not so old I can't enjoy watching my son face justice. We need to get back, James said. But Rachel, when we present this evidence, we're not just fighting for the trust. We're taking everything David has, destroying his entire legacy. I thought about Jessica, pregnant and scared. About Claire trying to make amends. About the family already shattered. But I also thought about 31 years of being told I wasn't enough. About a grandmother who'd tried to protect me. About a mother paid to stay away. About a grandfather who'd lost his life to keep me safe. Destroy him, I said. We walked back at 3 p.m. David saw my expression, and the color drained from his skin. He knew his final card had been beaten. Your Honor, James said. Before we proceed, defense needs to see evidence that fundamentally changes everything Mr. Thornton presented. Judge Henderson looked exhausted. More evidence? We have a recording from Eleanor Morgan, made 1 week before her death, stating the amendment was obtained through coercion. We also have testimony from Samuel Morgan, Eleanor's husband, who is not actually dead. The courtroom exploded. Your Honor, this is absurd. Thornton shouted. Samuel Morgan died in 1983. Forged death certificates, James said calmly. Like the forged medical records. Fraud is a family tradition. My chambers. Counsel only. Now, what happened in chambers, James told me later. The recording was played. Samuel's testimony presented. Lisa Chen's face transformed to fury as she realized the depths of David Morgan's crimes. When they emerged an hour later, Judge Henderson looked aged. Mr. Morgan, stand. My father stood, looking small for the first time. In light of new evidence, I am amending charges. In addition to fraud and perjury, you are charged with elder abuse, coercion, falsifying death certificates, and attempted theft of estate assets. I'm issuing an emergency order freezing all your assets. Bail is set at $5 million. My father didn't look at me as they led him away in handcuffs. Outside, reporters swarmed. I took the microphone. My name is Rachel Ashford Morgan. For 31 years, I believed I was a failure. Today I learned that belief was built on lies. My father stole from me before I was born. He manipulated a dying woman. He falsified death certificates. He paid my biological mother to stay away. He forged medical records. All to steal money meant to give me independence from this abuse. I paused. I'm telling you this so you understand. Financial abuse is still abuse. Gaslighting is still abuse. Making someone believe they're flawed to justify mistreating them is abuse. To anyone who's been told they're not good enough, you're not the problem. Sometimes the people who should love us are the problem. And it's okay to walk away. As we walked to his car, my phone buzzed. Jessica, I watched your statement. I'm sorry. You deserved better than us. Victoria, that's my girl. Proud doesn't begin to cover it. Come home to Portland when you're ready. Your real family is waiting. Samuel. Welcome to the family, Rachel. Let's have coffee soon, and I'll tell you stories about your grandmother. The real ones. Samuel. I had lost a family today, but I'd gained one too. You know what's going to happen now, James said. The estate investigation, the trial, the media circus. This will consume the next year. I know. And you're okay with that? I thought about my grandmother's voice apologizing. About my grandfather who'd lost 40 years. About Victoria who'd never stopped looking. I'm more than okay. For the first time, I'm fighting for something that's actually mine. He smiled. Good. Tomorrow we start the real war. The estate battle will make the trust fund look simple. Was I ready? Ready for months of legal proceedings, watching my father's empire crumble? But they weren't my family. Not really. They never had been. I'm ready, I said. That night, I emailed Victoria. Dear Mom, because you are my mom, and I'm done pretending otherwise. I'm coming to Portland. Not to visit, to stay. I'm taking that apartment above the bookstore, finding a tech job there, and spending however long it takes getting to know my real family. Thank you for never giving up. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for being exactly the mother I needed. I'll be there next weekend. We have 31 years to catch up on. Love, your daughter Rachel. I hit send. Within minutes. Your room is ready. It's been ready for 31 years. Come home, baby. I was going home. To a family that wanted me. To a life that was actually mine. The estate investigation took 6 months. Forensic accountants traced every dollar. What they found was staggering. Eleanor Morgan's estate wasn't just $23 million. With real estate appreciation and hidden offshore accounts, the total came to $37 million. $37 million that should have been mine at 30. The investigators discovered David had been systematically stealing from the estate for years, using it to fund his lifestyle, Jessica's education, the house. Every luxury I'd watched my sister enjoy had been paid for with my money. The criminal trial started in June. I sat in that courtroom every day, watching my father's attorney try desperately to create reasonable doubt. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. At sentencing, Judge Henderson looked at my father with disgust. Mr. Morgan, you didn't just steal money. You stole your daughter's identity, her family, her sense of self-worth. You manipulated a dying woman. You had your own father declared dead. The depravity of your actions is matched only by their cruelty. I sentence you to 12 years in federal prison. Claire gasped. Jessica cried. But I felt nothing. Just hollow relief that it was over. Except it wasn't quite over. After sentencing, Claire approached me. Rachel. Jessica's gone into early labor. The stress, the trial. She's at Portland Medical. It's not good. My stomach dropped. How early? 34 weeks. The baby has a chance, but... Her voice broke. She's asking for you. I should have walked away. But I thought about the baby. My niece or nephew, who'd done nothing wrong. I'll go, I said. But this doesn't mean I forgive you. I know. But thank you. Portland Medical was 20 minutes away. Victoria was already there despite Jessica being nothing to her. You don't have to be here, I said. Yes, I do. Because you need someone in your corner. Besides, I want to meet my first grandchild. Jessica was in a private room, hooked up to monitors beeping urgently. She looked terrified. Rachel, she breathed. You came. Claire said you were in early labor. They're trying to stop it. Her hand went to her stomach. I'm so scared. I'm alone. Jessica. I sat beside her bed. I'm here. Whatever happens, you're not alone. She started crying, and I found myself holding her hand. I'm so sorry. For everything. I know. I've been in therapy. 3 times a week. Trying to understand how I became that. Over the next 6 hours, I sat with Jessica as doctors tried to stop her labor. Victoria brought coffee and sandwiches neither of us touched. Claire arrived, staying in the hallway. At 11 p.m., the doctor came in grave. Ms. Morgan, we need to do an emergency C-section. The baby's in distress. Jessica's grip became crushing. Rachel, please. Don't leave. I'm not going anywhere. At 11:47 p.m., a baby's cry pierced the air. Strong, healthy, furious. A nurse came out smiling. You can see them now. Mother and daughter are doing great. Daughter. Jessica had a daughter. I was an aunt. We filed into recovery where Jessica held a tiny, perfect baby girl with dark hair. Rachel, Jessica said, voice full of wonder. Meet Rosalie Eleanor. After our real grandmother. Eleanor, after the grandmother who tried to protect you. My throat closed. Jessica. I want her to know the truth. All of it. I want her to grow up knowing families are complicated, that it's possible to do better. To be better. Tears streamed down her face. But Rachel, would you consider being in her life? She needs to know what strength looks like. I looked at this tiny person so new with her whole life ahead. I'll be in her life. But you tell her the truth. When she's old enough, you tell her everything. You don't let her grow up thinking this was normal. I promise. Victoria moved closer. Hello, Rosalie. I'm your Aunt Rachel's mother. We'll figure out the terminology later. Claire hung back. Jessica noticed. Mom, don't you want to meet your granddaughter? Claire approached slowly. She's perfect. I'm going to do better than you and Dad, Jessica said, not unkindly. She deserves better. Yes, she does. I stayed until dawn, watching Rosalie sleep, marveling at how something so small could change everything. When I left, Victoria walked me to my car. "You handled that with grace." "Did I?" I felt exhaustion. "And maybe hope. Hope is how we survive the impossible." She hugged me. "Come home when you're ready. Your grandfather wants to take you to Eleanor's favorite restaurant. He has stories. I'll be there tomorrow." I drove to my apartment above Ashford's Books, small but perfect, with exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. My own space. My own life. I'd officially relocated 3 months earlier, taking a senior developer position at a startup doing innovative educational technology work. My team was brilliant. For the first time, I felt valued for my actual skills. Daniel and I had broken up amicably when I moved, but we'd stayed friends and he'd been supportive through everything. The estate settlement finalized a week later. After legal fees and taxes, I was receiving approximately $28 million. James called me to his Portland office. He'd relocated too, opening a satellite office. "So," he said, "what are you going to do with $28 million? I'd been thinking about this for months. About what Eleanor had wanted for me. "I'm setting up a foundation for adopted children and victims of family financial abuse. Legal support, therapy, resources to help them escape. I'm calling it the Eleanor Morgan Foundation for Family Justice." James smiled. "Your grandmother would have loved that." "I hope so. I never got to know her, but maybe this is how I honor her. By making sure other kids don't go through what I did." I signed the papers, officially becoming a multimillionaire. It didn't feel real. "There's one more thing," James said, pulling out a sealed envelope. This was in Eleanor's safety deposit box. "Instructions said to give it to you after the estate was settled." My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a letter in shaky handwriting. "Dear Rachel, if you're reading this, Samuel found a way to give you this. It means my attempt to protect you succeeded. I met you once when you were 3 days old. David brought you to the hospital before I died. You were so tiny, so perfect. And I looked at you and knew you were going to need protection from my son. I tried to make him see you were a blessing. But he'd already decided. Already made plans to use you, control you, steal from you. So I created the trust. And I recorded that message. And I made sure Samuel knew where to find Victoria when the time came. I'm sorry I won't be there to watch you grow up. Sorry I can't protect you myself. But I did what I could to make sure you'd have resources, options, a choice. Use this money to be free, Rachel. Free from my son's poison. Free from the Morgan legacy of control and cruelty. Free to be whoever you want to be. And know that your grandmother loved you, even if we only had 3 days together. Eleanor." I was crying by the time I finished. James quietly left the office. My grandmother had loved me, had tried to protect me, had set up everything I needed to escape. That evening, I met Samuel for dinner at Eleanor's favorite restaurant. Small Italian place with red checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. My grandfather looked frail but sharp. "Your grandmother would be proud of you," he said. "The way you fought back, stood up for yourself. That's pure Eleanor. She was a warrior when she needed to be. Tell me about her. The real her." Samuel smiled. Eleanor was brilliant and stubborn and had no patience for cruelty. She came from nothing, worked 3 jobs to put herself through college, built a fortune in real estate, never forgot what it was like to be overlooked. He paused. "She would have seen so much of herself in you. What went wrong with Dad? David was our miracle baby. Eleanor had 3 miscarriages before him. We spoiled him. By the time we realized we'd created someone who believed the world owed him everything, it was too late. We talked for hours. He told me stories about Eleanor's childhood, her business acumen, her terrible singing voice and love of terrible puns. I thought about killing him," Samuel admitted quietly, "when he had me committed. But then I realized the best revenge would be surviving long enough to help you destroy him legally. To watch him lose everything while following his own rules. Did it feel as good as you imagined?" He smiled grimly. "Better. When we left, Portland was beautiful at night, city lights reflecting off the river. I know we lost 40 years. But Rachel, watching you from a distance, seeing you become this strong woman despite everything, that gave my life meaning. Don't say that. You shouldn't have had to sacrifice your life. Maybe not. But I did, and I'd do it again." He hugged me tight. "Welcome home, granddaughter. Let's make up for lost time." The appeals took another year. Eventually, even David accepted he was going to prison. Jessica and I developed a strange, careful relationship. We weren't close, probably never would be, but we were honest with each other. She came to Portland monthly, bringing Rosalie, working on rebuilding something that might resemble sisterhood. Claire and I maintained polite distance. She'd divorced David, sold the house, moved to a small apartment. She worked part-time at a nonprofit now, rebuilding her identity. We'd probably never have a real mother-daughter relationship, but there was grudging mutual respect. The Eleanor Morgan Foundation launched on what would have been my grandmother's 95th birthday. We'd helped 12 families in the first 6 months, providing legal representation, therapy, safe housing, resources to escape abusive situations. Victoria and I talked every day. I had dinner with her and Samuel twice a week. I'd met my extended Ashford family, uncles, aunts, cousins who welcomed me with open arms. I'd found my family, my real family. On the 1-year anniversary of my father's sentencing, I stood in front of Eleanor's grave for the first time. Samuel had brought me to the small cemetery. I placed flowers on her headstone. Eleanor Morgan, beloved wife, mother, grandmother. She fought for what mattered. "Hi, Grandma," I said quietly. "I'm Rachel. We never got to meet, but thank you. For fighting for me. For trying to protect me. For giving me a way out." The wind rustled through trees, and I imagined it was her, listening, proud. "I'm okay now. Better than okay. I found Mom, Victoria. She's amazing. I found Samuel, and he tells me stories about you. I met my sister's daughter, and I'm going to make sure she grows up knowing the truth." I pulled out her letter. "You told me to use your gift to be free. I am. Free from the Morgan's poison. Free from believing I'm not enough. Free to be whoever I want to be." I looked at her name carved in granite. "I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to help other kids like me. I'm going to make sure what happened to us doesn't happen to anyone else." Samuel came to stand beside me, hand on my shoulder. "She knows. Wherever she is, she knows." We stood in silence, 3 generations connected across death and time. My phone buzzed. "Jessica. Rosalie took her first steps today. Thought you'd want to know. Also, my next payment is processing tomorrow. On time as always." I smiled. Jessica was keeping her promises. Building a business based on actual authenticity, using her platform to talk about family trauma. Her follower count had dropped by half, but the ones who stayed were there for the real her. Another text from Victoria. "Dinner tonight? Samuel wants to make his famous lasagna. Warning, it's terrible, but don't tell him." And from James. "Judge approved funding for 3 more families through the foundation. We're changing lives, Rachel. Eleanor would be proud." I took one last look at Eleanor's grave. "I love you, Grandma. Thank you for saving my life." As we walked back to the car, Samuel asked, "Do you ever regret it? Fighting back?" I thought about the pain of discovery, the betrayal, the public trial. But I also thought about Victoria's bookstore, Sunday dinners with my real family, Rosalie's tiny hand gripping my finger, the foundation helping families escape abuse, finally knowing who I was. "No," I said. "I don't regret it at all. Because here's what I'd learned. Sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you're meant to have. Sometimes you have to burn everything down to build something real. But on the other side of that destruction, there's freedom. There's truth. There's the possibility of actually being loved for who you are." My parents gave my sister $2 million and called me a failure. But I took back what was mine, found my real family, and built a life worth every painful step. And that was the best revenge I could have asked for.